so much for joining me today, Seher. It's such a pleasure to interview you, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know some of your experiences, anecdotes, and learnings in today's catch up.
Thank you, Aditi. It is absolutely my pleasure and delighted to be here.
Great. So, my first question for you, Seher, is that you started your career journey as a corporate banker, and then 12 years later, you took on your first HR role with ABN AMRO Bank in Pakistan. Tell me about the decision that led to this change of career paths. And of course, we are very happy to welcome you on the HR side instead as a banker. Also, I would love to know what are some lessons you learned as a banker that you feel you're now able to leverage strongly in HR as well?
Absolutely. So it's one of those moments in life when something comes out of left field and an opportunity presents itself, and you have to just be ready. And that's what happened. At that time, ABN AMRO lost their head of HR to a competitor, Standard Chartered. And I was tapped on the shoulder by the CEO who called me into his office and he said, Seher, would you consider this move into HR? You understand the business, you're good with people, and you're strategic. And it's, when somebody sees something in you, and it's something what you call deep smarts. And I was ready for change, and I said, absolutely ready to roll up my sleeves. For me, it was two questions that I had. Will this move potentially get me out of Pakistan again because I wanted to reset my global career again? And will this get me another way to rise in a company rather than being a corporate banker? He said, absolutely, all that and more. It's a very strategic function. It's greenfield, make it your own. So I rolled up my sleeves, brought what I knew to the table, and learned the rest. So brought high learning agility with me. And, the business has always loved working with me, even if I say so myself, because I speak their language and I understand their challenges, having sat on the other side. What I did leverage is exactly that. The skills I learned that I leverage in HR is really understanding the business that you're working with. You can't work in isolation. So being business savvy, commercial acumen, and by the way, HR is all about numbers as well. So it's very quant, but it's also knowing the softer things like culture. So it's that role that leverages the left and the right brain. So I brought the left brain and I always had a bit of the right brain, and now I have the perfect blend.
That is absolutely amazing, so inspiring. And I love that, when someone sees that spark in you, they identify it, and it kind of gives you that encouragement to take that next step in your career as well. So very exciting start to your HR journey. Now, you did mention, one of the important things for you was to continue growing personally. And I noticed throughout your career, you've risen up the ranks quickly. You've been taking on regional roles. You've been moving across geographies consciously as well to support the workforce wherever they need you. Yes. So what are some values that guide your career path throughout this time? Some values that you cherish and they will never leave your side no matter how much you grow in your career?
Wow, what a great question. So you're right, I've made two career pivots, one from business to HR, another one from financial services to the consumer sector. I've done 9 cross-border moves. I've crossed 6 industries, and I have taken on progressively more senior roles, and while raising 2 kids on my own. So I find that was the hardest part of it. So I took 2 children kicking and screaming across borders, and they learned one thing. They learned how to deal with change, which is a lesson that always serves you well. I think the guiding values for me have always been, I've always been that person that is attracted to a challenge. I would love to be able to solve that problem. So it was usually that kind of mandate that attracted me. It takes risk, and you need resilience to take those opportunities because it's going to be tough. There's no question about it. So one of the opportunities that attracted me back in the day was, in a role that brought me to Singapore with an insurance company running Asia Pac was take HR from Stone Age to Space Age. I was like, I can do that. So, those sorts of things, or it's usually been, really building the credibility of an HR function or driving change, growth, and transformation. I did it time and time again. And that's what I then became known as someone, and that became one of my superpowers, so that's why companies hired me. to drive that change, growth, and transformation, and become fearless along the way.
I'm so glad that you talk about your superpowers as they are, because a lot of us women leaders, we struggle to really talk about our strengths, or we try to kind of make them sound a little bit more subtle. But I think
Right.
we really need more role models like you, Seher, who talk about our superpowers and are really not afraid to show that this is what we are really good at and back ourselves to that. So thank you for being such a great role model for me and for a lot of other women leaders out there.
Thank you. You know, I think Aditi, I'd say know your superpowers, but stay humble as well. So it's a bit of both because
Yeah.
there's always learning to be had.
Yeah.
You need to go into a new situation with your ears and eyes wide open, learning everything that you need to, and then bring in your talents to start building the change.
I agree, absolutely. Humility is, I think, one of my favorite leadership traits as well. So,
Yes.
yeah,
So I learn every time and I continue to learn.
absolutely. Okay, so my next question for you. Now, I know you're a global nomad. You've certainly enjoyed all of your mobility. Not sure about your kids, but at least they have learned from it. Uh,
Yes.
so, what do you cherish most about the ability to stay mobile, to be a global nomad? And what would you say are some of your most memorable stays or tenures in a particular market or region?
Oh, wow. So I think what's beautiful about the life that I've lived, so I've had the life where you would say I've lived with wings. I know where I'm from, I know my roots, but I've chosen to live with wings as opposed to roots. And what that creates is a muscle to be very culturally savvy, to step into a culture and know how to make a connection. And with that connection, you find the blend, the way to fit in and make a life for yourself in that new place. So I mean, I feel like I've pretty much, I have a connection with Canada because I've lived there, with Australia, with Scotland, with the US, with Asia, which is where I've spent most of my sort of, career professional years. There's probably just South America that I haven't touched, but that's the rest of the world. I feel like I've done that. The upside and downside of that is you can fit in anywhere, but you don't belong everywhere. So that's the difference. And you have to ultimately figure out where's home for you when it's all over. Do you go back to one place or do you split your life between a couple of places that you like? That's what I need to figure out because, you have changed from the time you left your home country.
That is such a remarkable learning. I have never looked at it through that lens, but thanks so much for sharing that. Okay, my next question, and here I talk to you a little bit about your role at the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf. Now, it's under your people leadership that the organization's global head office has moved from LA to Singapore. It's such a proud moment for us in Asia. Could you share with us what would be your most passion driven project for your people at the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf and why that project means so much to you?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, actually, they moved the head office before I was hired. So I can't take responsibility for that. I'm one of the beneficiaries of that decision. Um, but when I joined on April 1st last year, and it's just coming up to my 1 year mark, I was asked by the interim CEO, who was one of the owners of the company, David Tai, and he was the interim CEO, and he said, Seher, two things I want from you. Um, Create an LTI plan. Oh, by the way, and create that STI plan, short-term incentive plan, because we had to build a performance culture for a company that we just turned around. And also, you're sitting in WeWork, so we want you to build that office, that global office, second home, that inspiring place that people would love to come to work. I am so proud to say that we're about to move into our new office on April 5th. A year later, it is such an exciting moment because it's not just an office. And I just actually kicked off an activation on the new office. We call it home grounds. It's not an office, it's not headquarters, it's home grounds. It's an experience, it's a cultural exchange. It's a place where we will innovate, we will collaborate, and we will bring great ideas together. It's where our brand will live and breathe. So You walk in, there'll be a beautiful flagship cafe with the smell of freshly ground coffee, music playing, coffee cupping, tea tasting rooms, training rooms on the one side, and then open, agile, hot desking workspaces, no executive offices, some meeting rooms and telephone booths, and that's where we're moving. It's a place where our brand is going to make it, make its mark. And that marks the start of a journey of growth and shaping our culture and taking this brand to new heights, which is I'm so proud of. I feel like I've had a huge role to play in it, but I've had an amazing team that works side by side with me. The chief marketing officer and three, obviously the CEO that came in, John Indebracht, basically said, let's get this moving. And we've done that. We've actually done that, and it's about to come to life. And then we've had three amazing people in my team that worked.
That's absolutely wonderful. And I mean, apart from the facilities, I think I can really see the vision behind it, which is so exciting. I love the wordplay that you've done for home ground. That's really sweet and really clever. Can't wait to see the new office inaugurated.
Absolutely.
It sounds absolutely.
You'll be invited.
Thank you. Now, Seher, on to another one of your passion projects. I know you are really dedicated towards the cause of the executive mental health. And it isn't often an easy topic to talk about because as leaders, we're often considered to be kind of able to manage our own problems. And therefore, we are, tasked to manage the workforce's problems. So I think maybe I'd love to hear from you. What are some executive well-being challenges that someone like you or your peers may be facing? And perhaps you could share some advice on what you would do or what you may have done in such a situation.
Of course. I mean, look, we've just come out of one of the most difficult eras with COVID. I mean, 3 years plus later, we lost something in our lives. We paid a huge price. Socially, emotionally, in terms of our mental health, in every which way. It was a tough time, and it tested you at every level, at a human level. And guess what? Leaders are human beings, but they're also in leadership roles where they influence and their behavior and their energy influences the people around them. So you have a duty of care as a leader to take care of yourself before you can take care of other people. Because when you walk into a room, people can sense your energy. They can sense whether you're deflated. They can sense whether you're angry. They can sense whether you're hostile. That energy has impact. And if you're not taking care of yourself, you're going to create that energy shift for other people. So for me, one of the best learnings was during that time is really what I could do to take care of myself. And for me, it really starts with a morning routine, and I'll talk about at the talk. For me, you do something to take care of your physical well-being, which has a knock-on effect with your mental and emotional state. After that, you could pretty much take on anything. But if I didn't do that, I would be doing a disservice to people in my teams and in the company that I work for. And as in my role as a CHRO, I own culture. It's part of my job. So if I don't live it, I'm not living up to what I was hired to do.
Absolutely. Well, I got to say, to me, every time I've interacted with you, you've got a beautiful energy, a beautiful vibe into our virtual room. And I'm so looking forward to meeting you in person at Accelerate HR.
Nice.
My final question to you, I think, is really just the fact that you've played so many wonderful roles across your career, across your personal life. What would you say is your life advice to all the leaders and the aspiring leaders out there in how to balance and manage these several hats without feeling overwhelmed with the various roles that we play in our life?
Oh, yeah. We do play many roles. And I think that, I would say to every leader, a male or female, I think the one thing that we've also realized is life's pretty short. Time is valuable. What you do, where you spend your time is absolutely key, right? So do things that you're passionate about. Make sure that you are spending time with the people that really lift you up and energize you. There will be negative stuff that comes, just let it go. Just don't let it stick. Don't let it hold on. And my biggest advice is be bold, be brave, be brilliant. Because when you're all those things, no one can beat you. And you can be your best self.
Absolutely love it. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to take that advice personally. I do try to follow all of that, but I think you affirming that really helps a lot, really makes a lot of sense to all the leaders and aspiring leaders out there. It's been a pleasure catching up with you, Seher, today, learning about your life journey, your experiences, and some of your well being secrets as well. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Such a pleasure, Aditi, and can't wait for the session next week.
Absolutely looking forward to it.